Appreciate your comments. Ladies and gentlemen, again, in the interest of giving us as much time to hear from as many as you, if you could just hold your applause to the end, that would help us have as much time for witness statements. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Barry Johnson. I'm the Director of Monmouth County Government's Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm representing today the New Jersey Association of County Mental Health Administrators, and I have a few brief remarks to make myself. Our statewide association has 7 topical areas that we ask you to please consider in your deliberation. I have copies here, and I'll give them to you when I'm finished. In short, we know that while most all Americans with mental illness are not violent, some people with mental disorders do become violent. We need to identify mental health issues early and help people get the treatment they need before they get into a crisis situation. Our 7 points are: criminalizing mental illness perpetuates stigma and hurts those who need help. The mental health system of care is neither an adequate nor appropriate safety net to prevent and predict criminal behavior. Please avoid making a damaging and unfair link between mental illness and dangerousness. Please maximize the existing insights and specializations of New Jersey professionals and professional groups. The New Jersey mental health system is underfunded, struggling for innovation, and has structural inadequacies and rigidities. System change as a result of the comprehensive Medicaid waiver will significantly impact the mental health system. And New Jersey does not have enough available psychiatrists. My personal remarks, our studies indicate that to the extent that unaddressed needs of people with serious mental illness contribute to the nation's homicide rate, the public policy answers lie not in increasing the number of psychiatric hospital beds.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, if you may sum up, and you have written testimony which we will clearly and carefully consider.
I'd also like to admonish the people in the front row here that there are people here interested in speaking who would like to be heard. Your comments are not helpful. Treat everyone who wants to speak with respect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Just to replenish the line, so to speak, I'd like to call George Luna, Kevin O'Grady, Walter Bachman, Jeffrey Mason, I think it's Ladd, I'm having trouble with the handwriting, Alicio, James Downey, Ronald Stokes, Michael Maglio, Brian Lawyer, and Paul Draper. And also, for some folks who signed up, if you've already heard comments that made the same point you wanted to make, you're obviously free to defer to that speaker and not speak, okay, in the interest of allowing everyone to speak. Yes, sir.
You just said it. I've already heard most of what I was going to say. Unfortunately, guns seem to be the weapon of choice in these tragedies, but you can't blame the tool, the user. Please don't vilify gun owners, the honest people that are in this room tonight, at the expense of the criminals.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is William Butler. I'm a mentally ill person in the state of New Jersey. I was formerly the secretary of Monmouth County Mental Health Board, and I had a day named after me on June 21st in 2001. My comments are brief, and what I would like to share with you very succinctly with everybody here is that I take these every day. And I take these because I have the responsibility of each and every person in this room to know that the safety of our citizens is paramount. This is the alumni book. In 1979, I was a patient at Marlborough Psychiatric Hospital. In 1988, I worked in the hospital. In 1989, I started the first self-help group in the state hospital. In 2009, I'm in the alumni directory of this college, and I'm home. Finally, the last thing I'd like to share with you is that I received an award from Cambridge Who's Who where I was recognized as a VIP. And it says the above-named individual has qualified for inclusion in the Cambridge Who's Who Registry of Executives, Professionals, and Entrepreneurs in its 2011-2012 edition. Donald Trump, Executive Director. Finally, I'd like to share with you what happened in a cartoon on the front page of the Asbury Park Press. It is Doonesbury, and it's written by G. Pierre Trudeau, and I lend my comments here. The character states, what are we like as a people? Well, let's look at two sets of facts. 9 years ago, we were attacked. 3,000 people died. In response, we started 2 long, bloody wars. Homeland Security was initiated, all at a cost of trillions and trillions of dollars. Now consider this. During those same times, 270,000 Americans were killed by gunfire.
Thank you, sir. I may just ask you to sum up. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to read my statement. Taking a comprehensive approach to address the issue of violence is an appropriate action, but why is there no mention of the criminal justice system? Violent criminals are being released back into our streets. As horrific as the recent massacres are, they are rare. Street violence is not. I believe there were 14 murders last month in Newark. Camden is the second most dangerous place in this country. A woman shopping right here in Middletown was viciously attacked by a knife-wielding individual. That attacker had previously been arrested for setting a cat on fire and then released. A woman walking home from work in Lambertville never made it. What about that violence? What about ongoing violence? Guns are not involved in all violent acts. A woman and her young daughter were murdered in Inglewood. She was stabbed and her daughter was suffocated with a plastic bag. No gun, they're both dead. In addition to releasing violent criminals into our communities, New Jersey is closing mental health care facilities. When one is identified as being mentally ill, what are you to do with them? Where does the individual go to receive treatment? Recently, a mentally ill man in Boonton was placed on probation after admitting to placing pins in candy bars and then leaving these candy bars on a trail. Seems calculating to me. Seems he was using bait to lure children and to cause them harm. According to the report, there was a change in his medication, so the blame was there. Fortunately, no one was hurt. A mom spotted the pin-laden candy before a child did. Perhaps if New Jersey had adequate mental health care facilities, the man with the pins could have been closely monitored while changes were made to his medication. Perhaps he should be more closely monitored now. Governor Christie, among others, cites the U.S. Supreme Court 1999 Olmstead decision as the reason for closing the inpatient facilities. The intent of the decision was to ensure that patients were not forced into isolation, that they received the most appropriate treatment in the least restrictive setting, not to close inpatient facilities, therefore eliminating an option to receive appropriate care.
Ma'am, if I could just ask you to sum up, please.
Okay.
And if you have written testimony, I'd be glad to accept.
Finally, New Jersey has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, and these laws are used against law-abiding citizens. If I was to use deadly force to defend myself and my family and my home, I would then find myself in court defending my actions against someone whose intention was to do me harm. And this could probably cost about...
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hold, pause. That will help us. Thank you very much.
Hi, Mike. My name is James Downey. Thanks for showing up, everybody. This has all been initiated because of the tragedy that happened up in Newtown. What I would like to know is there's 8,583 homicides by firearms a year. There's 12,500 deaths by drunken drivers a year. There's 120,000 deaths by physicians every year. And since 1973, there's been 56 million children killed by abortion. I think this is all hypocrisy. Let's look at the real issues here, and the real issues here are behaviors. let's work on behaviors, not on a tool like a gun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting this panel today. I do not believe that anyone in this room can feel comfortable sending their children to a school that is clearly advertised as a gun-free zone, where a bad person can illegally obtain a gun and shoot freely at our children. Let me ask you all this. What did the security people at Newtown do to prevent the tragedy that occurred in December? Well, one thing I can tell you is that they were not armed. They were prevented by state law from being armed. Is your fear that your children will be afraid to see a responsible, law-abiding citizen carrying a gun? Well, I'll bet you anything that your children are in absolute fear of being a sitting duck where at any moment an armed criminal can barge into their schools as they are forced to cower and hide. This also puts brave administration and teachers at a huge risk, as they would more than likely put themselves between that person and your child. The president, politicians, and celebrities have armed guards to protect them and their children. One might say that their children are targets, but if we are to believe that mass shootings are rampant, then so are we all targets and our children. No one's children are more special than anyone else's.
Thank you. If I may just ask you to sum up, please.
Sure. Okay, I think that something should be done, as a lot of people said here about the mental health and letting criminals back out in the street, and I'd like to leave with this thought. Our government doesn't want to trust teachers and law-abiding citizens with firearms. They just gave firefighter jets and tanks to Egypt. Go figure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. When there is a tragedy involving a firearm, everybody sits back and blames the gun. When Timothy McVeigh killed 168 people, including 19 children under the age of 6 in Oklahoma, did anyone blame the truck or the truck's manufacturer or the company that made the diesel fuel or the fertilizer? No, they blamed the person. It has never been the gun and never will be, nor will it be the size of the magazine, will truly make a difference. The last assault weapons legislation did nothing to reduce the crime rate. When it expired, crime did not spike. Statistics prove areas that have the right to concealed carry, crime rate drops. Putting trained armed guards, even volunteer armed individuals in schools, should seriously be considered. All of the recent mass shootings have been done by individuals who have a history of mental problems, but because of the wisdom, and I'm not sure who or what government agency, decided mental health records are not to be included in the National Instant Criminal Background Check. These people would have been denied the ability to purchase a firearm. In some cases, they should have been hospitalized and treated. But we do not have a system in place anymore to do that. Why? We need to revisit our mental health system and make significant changes. There are people out there that need help and are not getting it.
Thank you,
It
sir.
needs to be changed.
If I may just ask you to sum up, please. Thank you.
In conclusion, no matter how many anti-gun laws are passed to prevent gun violence, they will only affect the law-abiding individual. By virtue of being a criminal, those people do not and will not obey any new laws, since they do not obey the multiple laws that are already on the books. We have, along with Chicago, Detroit, Washington, D.C., and New York City, some of the most restrictive gun laws in the country.
Thank you.
Yet these cities, including Camden, have the highest crime rates.
Thank you, sir.